But no, Beth, your goes crashing down. Determination, the suffering, the ability to... And she's unleashed everything in this attack. See just how much that win means to him. All the marvels. Kayla versus Allison, and to the line. Kayla Laguna takes the victory.
Hey everyone, welcome to CVRcade World Cup Racing. We are in the run up to our first season in 2020. And if K and L were any indication of the type of racing we're going to see in this next iteration of CVRcade World Cup, I am going to be out of my mind. Such a fun day, such a great way to come back after the new year with another 4-race Omnium. All of the riders here in Zone T. We have our familiar names, Jeff and Frank and Aaron and Kayla and Homer, and they will be doing their first race tonight on Aqua Velo, and it is going to be the low skill event, which we learned last season really is kind of not true. It's actually more of a high skill. Once you figure out certain things, you've got corner caper as an ability, quantum shift as an ability, uncrashable as an ability, and one comeback kid power up. And we'll talk about the other races, but one of the people who in Zone T has really mastered this track and who's back for another session is Aaron. Aaron, welcome to the program. Welcome to 2020. You are kind of the master on this type of an event. What have you learned in the last 12 weeks about how to race it?
I don't know. Whatever I did learn, I probably forgot from these few weeks off. But I don't know. There's a lot of different tactics you can do, and once you do it one time, everyone kind of sees it and can know what's going to happen. So, maybe I'll have something different up my sleeve this time, or maybe I'll just get last place because I've been up in the front too many times on this one.
Well, I will just say that even though I've seen people execute, doesn't mean that the replication is easy. So you can be humble all you want, but I know you're a monster on this course. But on your heels will be Jeff Rooney, the Velocity Vixen Fox rider. Hey, Jeff, welcome to the program. Just about 90 seconds to go.
Hey,
welcome to 2020.
Yeah, another season. Let's ramp it up, eh?
You ready? You are ready to take this on? You're going to give Aaron a little run for his money tonight. You've got Daniel out there. You've got Kayla out there. Have you been practicing?
Oh, a little bit, but had a bit of a break as well, so you don't want to burn out too early. But let's hope the mind and the legs are up for it.
All right. Well, good luck to you, Jeff. 1 minute to go. I'll let you get in your mind space here of racing. 2 laps here on Aqua Velo with the ability of corner caper, quantum shift, uncrashable, and one comeback kid. This is the first race of the 4-race Omnium, and we've got Kayla here warming up. She did race earlier. We'll come back to her for an interview. She took second place in L zone here, proving her dominance there, second only to Mr. Quentin himself, who is our last season's world champion. We've also got Homer here in the broadcast. Homer, welcome to the broadcast. Also crushing it on Rocky Mountain in that earlier zone today. I tried to hold your wheel, man. I tried to hold your wheel. Just couldn't do it. You were too strong. 20 seconds here. I'll come back to an interview with you after we get out of the gate and after we get through this race, and back here on board with Aaron here. Just over 10 seconds to go. Aqua Velo 2020 Zone T. Who will it be in this event? And they come launching out of the gate in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and out they come. So with this race, as we know, it's 2 fast laps. They come up to speed. If you don't make it on this first break, it is hard to close down that gap. Homer takes it there at the front there, just trying to get a little bit away. You can see him digging in. Daniel not far behind here. Jeff there on the front. Jeff and Daniel and Homer all trying to make everyone work here out of the gate. They know these are experienced riders on CVRcade. They know how they have to race this event. And I'm going to stop calling it a no skill event, even though that's how it's billed, because it is a high skill event. You have to not get dropped. You have to stay in the draft here. They come up to speed. They don't have to worry about the corner speed. And you can just see those heart rates spike. Now, if you're new to CVRcade racing, and you haven't seen this before, all of the riders are listed on the right-hand side of the screen. You can see their relative watts. We are working with equalized heart rates and equalized watts as well. So these racers can go head-to-head no matter what their skill, what their ability, what their background is, because they are all equalized in the game. Oh, Kayla there dropping the comeback kid, says do not, and Frank, a double comeback kid here. They saw those 2 seconds getting away. They did not want that gap to be growing in any amount whatsoever, and they're going to slingshot through. They used that earlier coming through the corner here. Frank takes the front spot there. Also, the CVRcade wizard here on the front knows the dynamics, had a little break from racing, and is coming back. And he did, I think, say he might be easing back into it. I saw that on the message board that he was going to ease back in it. But if we know Frank, we know he doesn't ease back into anything here. But he's got his teammate there, Kayla, in the front. They're going to be working together. They are in-game audio in a team car here. The two of these guys talk strategy within the game. There is an audio channel that the racers can discuss strategies and talk through. So you know that that was a coordinated effort there. But Jeff still hangs in the front. Frank taking his wheel, benefiting from the draft there. Each of these riders here, you stick your nose out into the wind, and the race dynamic is everyone's drafting behind you, and you kind of are trading spaces on the front. But what all of these riders are really trying to do is trying to conserve some energy, because it does come down to a well-timed sprint, and usually comeback kid is in play. We did see a few different tactics evolve on these lower no skill events with these abilities on the timing of it. Maybe you send one rider up the way, because one rider isn't necessarily going to get away, but a rider trying to close a gap and establishing some dominance there. But Jeff there is working awfully hard on the front. Homer there just a few seconds back, did get 5 or 6 seconds back, but he's got Daniel there with him. So those guys are trying to make up that gap there to see if they can close that down. But right now it's looking in pretty good position. Even if you've got those few seconds there, 4th position there, Daniel and Homer will be, they are teammates now. Homer did have a change there of teams. So Daniel and Homer can be working together here, and maybe they could slingshot around there. Daniel does use his power up. Kayla there on the front here. Frank comes through, but Daniel using his power up, looks like he does close down the gap, at least to Homer. He did have a little bit of separation there, but he was not enough to slingshot around and get past some of that momentum. That 10 seconds is just too much to make up. So now it'll be interesting to see if Homer gets in front of Daniel and uses his comeback kid. It tries to come around here, but Frank on the front, 1.3 kilometers to go here. It can be anybody's race. Kayla there with Frank working together, saying, I got you, man. I got you. Stay with me. Stay with me. You know that they've got something up their sleeve, but they did already use their comeback kid to make up that gap on lap number 1. So they're not going to have that up their sleeve. But Jeff, as far as I could tell, and if I was paying attention, if the Sudafed didn't get too much to my head, he does have his comeback kid should he need to use it. But he is on the front here. And again, 0.9 kilometers to go. The fireworks are about to start to happen here. It's going to always be so close to call. You can see there Kayla looking serious, up out of the settle, puts in the dig. You can see here 1,000 equalized watts, 900 equalized watts, well over 1,000. Jeff Rooney up out of the settle, head to head here. Kayla and Jeff up out of the settle, digging. You can see them side by side here. Who is going to take in the front? But wait, coming around is Jeff coming through. Homer does use his comeback kid. Is it going to be enough to close that gap down? Is there enough road left? 0.5 kilometers to go. Kayla went a little early there on that, but she's maintaining that front position. But Jeff is not letting go. Jeff in a slightly better position here, holding on to Kayla's wheel. Frank right there behind. So will Frank, the sprinter in this group, be able to come around? Homer still benefiting from that comeback kid, but not able to close it down. It's Frank. It's Kayla. It's Jeff. Who will it be? 1, 2, 3. Both of them are looking a little bit more fatigued. Kayla there and Jeff. Frank does drop back by a second here, but Kayla and Jeff, 0.2 kilometers to go. Who's it going to be when they come around the bend here? Oh, it's going to be so close. And then the comeback kid by Jeff, he accelerates. It's going to be enough. He steps around. He loses it. Is he going to take it at the line? And oh, so close to call, but I think that Jeff did get that race. Kayla's looking like, wait a minute, I can't tell. Did we get it? So close. We'll have to check the replay on that, but I think the scoreboard did take Kayla being first. Kayla's doing the dance. Yes, Kayla's like, it's me. It's me. Nice work. Right to the line there. That was well timed. I think just a split second. It was just so close on the line, and Homer there comes across the line. Nice, strong finish there for Homer Thompson. But looking at the replay here, you can see that the racers had head-to-head here, Kayla and Jeff biding his time, knowing that Kayla had already used her power-up, had already, she just didn't have anything else. And so he uses his comeback kid right at the end, is able to come around her, but does not have enough road to make it stick. So at the end of race number 1, you have Kayla, Jeff, and Frank in 3. Hey, Kayla, how do you feel about that finish? Look at that coming around. Jeff was just, so close. Oh, so close.
Yeah, that was one heck of a race. I have my secondary camera I have as the backwards view. So as soon as I saw Jeff and the animation go up with his power up, I was like, oh no, I was like, gotta go. It's like, there's not much time left. So that was great execution on his part with just deploying that power up at the time, because that was so close. I didn't think I was going to win that one, but went up by just a split of a second. So feels good. Hopefully can keep that momentum going into the next races.
Coming into the next race, mountain bike course by Jesper. I was racing with you on this race, 8 laps on this course. How are your legs now after you had such a dominant effort? Are you feeling like you had enough time to recover here to do it all over again?
Yeah, hopefully I ate a good dinner before, so hopefully that will keep me going. But feeling a little bit fresher just from coming from the new year and taking a little bit more time off the bike. So hopefully that will keep me going in this one right now, but feeling good.
All right. Well, nice work. And Jeff, let's check in with Jeff. 2 minutes to go before mountain bike course by Jesper. Well timed on that comeback kid, just to beat one little nose would have been the difference. But you're sitting in second place here for the Omnium, going into mountain bike course by Jesper. I wish my mouth would work. How are you carrying into this next race? What are you carrying in?
Yeah, I felt okay for that. That was good. Kayla still got me a fat-fingered steering to the right, so I come out of the draft. So that probably wasn't perfect execution, but that was still good. Still fun. We'll see what the next 3 races bring. That's when it really counts.
Well, like the first one feels good. Get that one out of the way. It's a nice warm up. 1 power plant, 1 wind at your back, 8 laps of mountain bike course by Jesper. Good luck to you, Jeff. Let's check in with Homer, who did take 4th place on that. Hey, Homer, welcome to Zone T. You had some racing earlier. Great showing in the earlier zones. Back for more?
Yeah. Trying to get out as much out of this as I can get out of it.
Well, you have Daniel in the racing tonight. Do you guys have some strategies up your sleeve?
Well, I was just trying to communicate with Daniel, but I'm not able to hear him too well. So, no, I don't guess we do have.
I'll let you try to sort that out. Just over 30 seconds to go here for your next race. Good luck to you. Awesome to have you on the broadcast. Thank you so much for streaming in. Good luck to you here. We are going to be starting in just under 30 seconds. We've got Aaron there who did finish further on down the pack, maybe doing some conserving. He can't hear me. Yeah, I think he might be in team chat. We'll come back to you after. 15 seconds. We'll come back to you, Aaron. 10 seconds to go. for this race, mountain bike course by Jesper, 8 laps. Now racers can crash. So in the earlier race, we had uncrashable on as an ability, and in this race, it is uncrashable is not on. You can crash in this race. You've got rocks on the side of the courses. You've got 2 power-ups. You can see Frank there using his power-up out of the gate here. Jeff on the front there, trying to hang on there to the Cognition rider's wheel there, saying, I'm not going to let you get away, Daniel. You're not going to get away from me. You can really feel that draft here, even on the mountain bike course here, hanging on. Let me tell you, hanging in and hanging on are margins. They're on the edge there. So you got this, Jeff. Homer there comes into Frank there, but you can see them well positioned here into the first lap, and it always feels good mountain bike course by Jesper on that first lap, and I'm always happy to slow down around that corner. I'm just bummed that I have to pick it back up, because when you come around the corner, you do have those little rollers that you feel on your trainer. All of these riders are on bikes in their houses, and they're feeling the terrain changes. They're feeling what it feels like to ride a bike. When the road turns up, they feel the resistance on their pedals. You can see all the riders in the list here on the right-hand side there. Jeff looking strong in the number 1 position coming into the corner, controls the tempo here, knows what he's doing, controls that tempo through the corner, and he knows when to accelerate through. That was a brilliantly executed corner by Jeff, where he knew enough to slow down. He didn't slow down too much and was able to take it through the corner clean and accelerate on his way through. And that was a mistake that I made earlier in the day today, was I just overslowed for the corner because I was afraid of crashing. I felt really rusty, but that is some high skill there. Back on board here with Homer, also a highly skilled racer here. He's trying to close the gap there. He's got Frank up the way. You can see Frank just a couple bike lengths ahead of him. He's going to make that connection. He's going to get that draft. He's not going to let Frank get away. And then Frank 1 second to Daniel, and then Daniel 3 or 4 seconds back to Jeff. So if Daniel, Frank, and Homer, and looks like Kayla is back just a little bit more. If Daniel, Frank, and Homer can get together and close it on Jeff, because Jeff is the Lone Ranger, they're up at the front with a 5-second gap. This is one of the tracks that we learned earlier, that if you get an early lead, it's an advantage. You can hold that lead. But if the group behind you gets organized, it's much more difficult to be the lone rider up in the front when you have 4 people being able to trade those pulls and close the gap down on you here. Into the corner again. Jeff makes it through, slows down, slides out just perfectly. Frank, same thing, makes a nice corner execution there. Again, 2 for 2 on those corners. Jeff is looking really strong up out of the saddle, anticipating those rollers, making sure that he is protecting his gap, but Frank is closing on him fast. Frank is coming in hot. Homer, not so far either. And a little bit of did my eyes deceive me here? It does look like we had a little bit of, no. He's like, I didn't do anything. I don't know what happened. That was not an intentional play there. But Frank, Jeff there on the front, we did see just a little bit of a slowdown, a little bit of congestion here. Jeff, Homer, and Frank there. Frank does drop back to a couple of seconds here, but Homer on Jeff's wheel here, coming around the side here, passing him. Here we are, the 2 riders left and right. Homer on the left here. You can see the kits in game and the kits that they're wearing, the blue Cognition rider there and the orange and purple Velocity rider here, side by side, holding down position 1 and 2. Right now, those heart rates, 400 equalized watts by Homer, 188 on his heart rate. Jeff's a little bit lower on the heart rate here. All of the heart rates in CVRcade are equalized. So what that means is whether your max heart rate is 200 or your max heart rate is 170, the curve, your heart rate curve is normalized so that we know that everybody's max heart rate in the game is 200. So Homer at 186 and Jeff at 173. Right now, Homer's expending a little bit more, and that makes sense because he's on the front. Jeff's benefiting from the draft here. Frank does close in on Jeff here. They are together, but Kayla is coming in fast here. She can see up the way. She rolls through those corners. She already did use her wind at her back earlier, trying to close the gap with the front, and it wasn't enough for it to close down. But one of the things that I've watched Kayla do, and then Frank comes around Jeff. One of the things that I've seen Kayla do is able to close things down, but Jeff is going to try to hang on into Frank here. Not going to let Frank get away, but ooh, does slam into Frank, who does was a little bit of a brake check. That might have been a brake check. That speed differential. These guys are buddies. These guys, Frank's like, you got me last time, man. I got you this time. You're not going to give him the wheel here, making Jeff work to go close it down on Homer. Kayla comes around Frank here. Frank having a good time in game. This is what CVRcade is all about. It's about teamwork. It's about having fun with each other. It's about the gameplay mechanics. You have drafting, you have lane choices, you have, rocks, you have corner speeds, you have all of this mental gymnastics that you have to do, and your heart rate is at like 187. So this is a challenge both mentally and physically for all of these riders in here. And we're just coming off a break. And as Kayla said, it's nice to have a little break. It's easy to get sucked up in it and do some overtraining and maybe get a little bit overtrained or burnt out. But Kayla's coming back from a break. She showed her dominance earlier in the earlier Omniums. This is like her third hour of racing tonight. So let's remember to honor some rest time, Kayla. That's the maternal person in me remembering that everyone does need a rest as much as we are so addicted to playing this game and racing with our friends. So Jeff, they're just absolutely digging in, trying to chase down Homer. 6 seconds in front of Jeff, but you can see here, Jeff on the side there, he's got 432, 450, well over 400 equalized watts, just rolling through, trying to close that gap down. But Homer is absolutely having nothing to say about it, hammering there. Does slow down enough for that corner, wisely says, okay, I'm not going to work this hard on the front and lose it in the corner. So he slows it down in the corner, just perfectly. Again, 2.4 kilometers to go on this 8 laps of mountain bike course by Jesper. That's a mouthful, even if you didn't have a cold and Sudafed head. So Homer on the front, Jeff right behind there, about 8 seconds, 9 seconds back. Frank closing in on Jeff, 3 or 4 seconds there, and then Kayla 3 or 4 seconds back from Kayla. And as far as the leaderboard goes right now, if Homer takes this race, he will be taking first place so far in the Omnium. If Jeff finishes in this position, he'll be in the second spot, and Kayla will be in third, followed by further on down the line by Frank and Daniel. So these finishing positions, this is a 2-time multiplier race. The first race was just a 1-time multiplier. This is a 2-time multiplier race. We go to Rocky Mountains next, which is also a 2-time multiplier race. And what we saw in the earlier Omniums was people who were really killing themselves, no names, but myself, killed myself on this course and didn't have much left for Rocky Mountain. But so there's got to be some strategy deployed here across the Omnium. I mean, sometimes a racer is going for a stage win and just wants to take the track win. And sometimes a racer is going for the points for the longer game of the Omnium and just protecting their position here. But Frank here around the corner, almost getting on the wheels of Jeff. Jeff uses his wind at his back, digs in side by side with Homer here, tries to close down the gap here, but it might be too much with 1.5 kilometers to go. Homer is 10 seconds to go. I think he's really trying to just stay away from Frank. I don't think that Jeff's actually trying to get to Homer with 1.3 kilometers to go. I think that Jeff is trying to just make sure that Frank doesn't catch on. He's trying to talk to me in hand signals while his heart rate's at 192. That's okay, Jeff. It's okay. I'll ask you after. Save it for the interview, man. Save it for the interview. So Homer on the front, then Jeff, then Kayla. He wants to keep those points there. Frank and Kayla and Jeff. Homer, Jeff, Frank, Kayla, Daniel a little bit further back here. These guys are digging in. These guys want to take the points here. Homer was a monster earlier, and he's got 1 lap to go. He comes around this corner, and he knows how to take that corner. Watch him come through, executes that perfectly. And you can tell. So when you watch the races and you watch people go through the corner, they make it look easy. But there's a time in which that power plant there gives them an extra few watts there just to help get him through these little rollers. A well-timed power up there just gives him a little bit of insurance, dumps it where it's going to help him the most. most here with just 0.6 kilometers to go. But on those corners, you need to know when to slow down. You need to, we saw Jeff take it just brilliantly as well, slows down and accelerates his way through here. Jeff there uses his power plant here, does not want Frank to get there. Frank is only 3 seconds back, and Frank has a sprint, and I think Frank, oh no, he's like, wait, what happened? Oh, did you get one of the rocks on the side of the road, Jeff? Oh my goodness, that hurts. That does flip the position here going into Rocky Mountain here. Homer does have his wind at his back here coming through. He's watching his speed. He used, again, dump that one when he needed it, giving himself the insurance here that he will finish on top. And he will be at the top of the leaderboard here for this Omnium here going into Rocky Mountain. But it does look like in second place will be Frank, which will put him in. Oh, wait, the points. I'm just looking at the points. I'll have to wait for that to update. I don't want to call it too early. But if Frank comes across the line ahead, oh no, Jeff, this is an opportunity. Is it going to happen? Is it going to happen? No, wasn't enough of an opportunity. Frank got back on his bike, clipped in, and pedaled off into the sunset without having to worry about it. And then Kayla comes across the line, and then Jeff will come across the line. So, and then a little bit, Daniel will be next. So we have Homer, Kayla, Frank, and Jeff here. So here is the instant replay of Homer using his wind at his back here on the final stretch of mountain bike course by Jesper, uses it, is able to ease back. You can see him kind of easing back on his pedals, watching his corner speed. He played that smart. He was out in front, and congratulations on a nice race for that. Homer, congratulations on that race. How you feeling after that effort?
I'm pretty tired. I'm tired.
Well, you put in quite an effort earlier today. So what made you come back for more? I know you do like 50,000 miles a year or something crazy, but like what made you come back for more?
Yeah, I came back for miles tonight, miles more than anything. So yeah, I'm just working on getting some miles.
Well, you're getting some quality workout along with your miles. Taking it into Rocky Mountain, we're 3 minutes in, 3 minutes away. What is going to be your tactic? I saw you raced earlier today. Are we going to see a repeat of what we saw earlier on Rocky Mountain?
I think I'm going to follow some bots. That's what I've got in mind right now.
Well, that is not a bad idea. We did see the bot patrol in the earlier races. We did see that work really well for Allison and Ben. And so that's actually not a bad strategy here. 2-time multiplier, 2 weight lifted, 1 underdog, which we haven't really seen a lot in racing. How do you find the underdog power up?
Well, I used all of them today, certainly. So it was a help. I'm not sure how much of a help, but it was a help.
Yes. Well, we also had, we do have 2 path of least resistance, 2 weight lifted, 1 underdog, and we also do have wind out on course. So that is also another vote for sticking with the bot patrol. So good luck to you. I'll let you catch your breath. Let's check in with Kayla. Hey, Kayla, how are you feeling after that effort? You ready to do Rocky Mountain all over again?
Oh yeah, I mean, feeling it a little bit definitely in the legs. This one's gonna hurt a little bit, especially with the wind. But yeah, I'll be trying to use some tactics to help with the legs here. But yeah, we'll see how it goes.
And Jeff, we're watching the playback here of that. Thank you, Kayla. We were just watching the playback there of that crash. What happened on course here?
I'm not sure. I kept getting power dropouts, which I haven't had in the last few weeks of practicing. And it was at the same time Frank caught me, so I'm not 100% sure whether I have it like Frank's gone through and I've hit him or something. But yeah, I kept getting power dropouts. And that's why I slammed Frank too, because it dropped out for that few seconds he ran into me. So I wasn't playing dirty or anything.
Well, we did see the retaliation. I think we did see the retaliation. It's hard to know because you're really, although you're side by side in course, you're not side by side next to each other to be able to see. 30 seconds to go before we go into Rocky Mountains. What's your strategy here?
Hope that I fix my problem and that I can keep pedaling the whole way.
All right. All
We'll see
right.
what happens.
I hope so too. Fingers crossed that the interwebs and the internet works and you don't have the Ant Plus and all of those things that technology does. 10 seconds to go here. We've got 2 laps on Rocky Mountains. And as we did hear from Homer, there are some bots in the game that did actually help change the dynamics up a little bit. So we'll see how that comes to bear today. So we've got Daniel who just like comes out of the gate here. You can see his teammate Homer making sure that Daniel does not get away. They probably, I know that they were trying to communicate. They were having some audio issues. It's sometimes when your heart rate is high and you've got music coming through your speakers and you've got other things, the communication part happens last. But Jeff right there in the front there pulls around Daniel and is setting the tone for Rocky Mountain here. He is out in front by a couple seconds here. And the question is Daniel going to work to close that down? I think he looks like he's going to be working with Homer. Homer comes up around the corner, comes around him. Kayla uses her power up here. That power up, it's one of the power ups that we haven't seen a lot of in the racing, the underdog power up, which gives you more watts for every rider that's in front of you. I think it's 50 watts for every rider that's in front of you. So it's like a blast of power. So if you're in the back and you want to come to the front, the underdog power up is one way to do that. We've seen that in the earlier races today, how you can really slingshot around here. But right now we've got Jeff in the front, Homer, Kayla just a few seconds back from Homer. She can see up the way, trying to see what she can do. But Homer there, looking comfortable, just looking really sharp here. And he knows that Jeff is up the way, keeps him in his sight. And Homer is a racer that is just like a steady Freddy engine. If you can catch his wheel and stay on his wheel, he can lay down a pace, but it is brisk. It's one of those paces where you're like, oh, good, Homer's here to help. I can't hold on. You're hanging on by your fingernails because he is such a steam engine, so strong. And I think he's breaking with what he saw because he sees a shiny object up the road and he has to chase it because he's like, I think I'm going to stay with the bot patrol. But his legs must be feeling really good. He's in to get the miles tonight. It's like his 3rd hour of racing here, or at least his 2nd. I'm not sure if he did K as well, but he did do Zone L earlier today. Had a great showing in the earlier zones and is back for more to get some more saddle time here. Here we are. Jeff and Homer side by side here. You can see the cadences. You can see that they are climbing here. Each of these riders have a dashboard below that they can see what the grade is. They have the wind, but both of them are just getting that wind. So you're climbing a hill and you have wind. And what that does is it affects your speed. So if you look at the speed differentials right now, Jeff is cranking out at 38 kph and Homer at 36. So if Homer wants to close that gap down, Homer needs to put in a little bit more effort. It's not enough to match the watts because the terrain is changing and you have to watch that speed differential too. So sometimes we get focused on watching the watts, but really if you can watch that speed differential and then try to use that and be faster than the person in front of you, that's how you close down the gap here. So you can see further on down the way that Kayla does use a power up there, trying to like get back onto the bots that are ahead of her there just by a few seconds here. She absolutely destroyed on this course. Earlier today, she came back from a couple crashes on the descent and then still managed to have a very strong finish on this race. So she knows what she needs to do on this course. Right now, if we are finishing, if Jeff does hold that lead, which he might just do, but they're going to be really strung out, Jeff and Homer, feeling that wind. If Jeff does that does move him back up on the leaderboard. He was coming into this race, he was bumped down to 4th, but now he's going to, if he finishes ahead of Homer, Homer will will still be on top, but he will take the second spot and push Kayla and Daniel and Frank on down the way here. It does look like Frank didn't join this race, and Aaron is also out at this moment. He was waving his Aaron was, it might have had a technical issue. Sometimes you get a flat tire out on course, you know, a different mechanical can set you back on a race. But we have got a 2-man race here on the front on Rocky Mountain. Homer and Jeff, and they are just 6 seconds apart here. You can see Jeff on his heart rate 172, Homer 186 here. He can see now. This is a point when this is Homer's point of view. He can see the racer up in front of him, and this is one of those things where it's so motivating. Like if you can see that other racer, you want to catch them, and if soon as you let them out of your sight, like psychologically, this thing happens where you start to lose your your focus, and you start to go but I think Homer is like just so driven and such a hard worker, such an incredible cyclist. He's like not going to let Jeff out of his sight. So if I was Jeff, I would not be relaxed right now, and Jeff needs those points, because if Homer comes around and takes away the points, Homer's already on top, but where the race where it's going to matter. Every point matters, because we have one more race in this Omnium, and that is sudden lane change. And sudden lane change is 2.5 times the multiplier, and that's 4 laps. It goes by fast. And if you can grab as much points as you can here, then when you go into sudden lane change, you're just at a little bit of an advantage here. You can see that power up, path of least resistance. He happened to use it on one of the straightaways here. They all all of the power-ups have different dynamics, and path of least resistance means that you have less rolling resistance on your wheel. And I make the mistake of using it at a time when I'm either coming out of a corner or it doesn't expire before I go into a corner. Right there, Homer's showing he knows how to use that power-up. Must be all those rise and rip classes, Homer. I think it's all of those rise and rip classes that you take. I think that all the practice that we get. I'm just gonna, yes, that's right, man. We have the best time. I still mess it up, but you have nailed it, my friend. You have nailed it. All right, he changes lanes, comes a couple back over. So the other thing about racing on these courses is that the shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line. So he sees the corner coming up. He knows that if he moves over to the right, he's going to shorten his path a little bit. You really see that in the pack dynamics. If someone's on the inside, they seem to come through the corners a little bit faster. And look at him making up that time here. 4 seconds now is a gap here. And you can see that speed differential here, 35, 36 in Homer, and then Jeff is at 30. So there's that point of the course where the person in front of you is still climbing or hits a steeper incline, and you are on a little bit of a flat. So if you can use that power up the way that he did, he accelerated, he was able to get that speed differential using the path of least resistance, accelerate just at that point where Jeff's road turned up a little bit, and he was able to come and close down. At what point was a 10-second gap. So nice job, nice work on that. But Jeff is like, wait a minute here, I didn't do all that work to let you come around. Both of these guys have been working solo with their nose in the wind. So right now, Homer, after closing that gap, is taking a little bit of a benefit here on Jeff. But Jeff has the opportunity here to set the pace here. This is when the road starts to tilt down a little bit. He does execute that lane change, knows that corner is coming here. But there are speeds here where you are getting the wind, the push. And we did see a couple crashes on the descent in the earlier zone. So this is one of those races where you're always thinking that you're safe on the descents, but we did, like I said, we did see some crashes here. You do have that wind changing direction, and you have a little bit of a tailwind, a little bit of a crosswind. So you are able to accelerate and have a situation. So watching those corner speeds, Jeff puts the hurt back on Homer, knows he just made up the gap, he just made the effort, and now he's counterattacking. He's like, no, come on, Homer. Oh, maybe he's saying, come work with me. Okay. he's saying, hey, listen, take the lead, Homer. I could use the wheel. Let's work together, man. Because these guys now are just kind of trying to tally up points right now. They are in the 1 and 2 spots here. And if Jeff finishes in front of Homer, Homer will still be leading in the Omnium, but just by, I'm trying to see the points here. Let me make this. One of the beautiful things about the game is that you can make all of the widgets, you can resize all of the widgets. So I can just kind of drag and drop and my new monitor is so crystal clear here. The point differential right now between if they finish in this position is only 5 points here. So they will be going in position 1 and 2 into the high skill 4 laps of sudden lane change with a 5 point differential. And then Kayla's a little bit further down. She's only 4 points behind. So right now, Kayla and Daniel, so Homer, Jeff, and Kayla, even though Kayla's not here at the pointy end of this particular race in the Omnium, if she recovers enough in these 2 laps, and she can't, she does need to finish. She does need to finish within the prescribed time. But if she actually conserves enough here, she's going to be sitting in a good position to take a lot of points in the next race. So just because she's not up here with Jeff and Homer doesn't mean that she can't actually still take. She can still take this whole thing. So right now we've got Jeff in the front. Homer is just a couple seconds back. I don't know if Homer didn't take the invitation to come. Jeff was saying, "Come pull me, man," and Homer's like, "Nah, I don't know." But they've got one more punishing lap on this course, and this Rocky Mountain course is so fun to race. And when you look at the 4-race Omnium and you think about like, oh, this is one of the longer tracks, it is super, super fun to race. But then of course the race organizers add wind just to be like, we're not gonna make it easy for you. We're not gonna, you're gonna have to like really work. So you've got the climb and you've got the wind. So with 8.3 kilometers to go, not quite halfway through the racing, these riders need to settle into a pace, I think, and then maybe have a little duel at the end, because both of them have to be thinking that they need to save something for sudden lane change. So I can't be inside their head reading their minds, but if I were racing right now, I'd be like, hey man, it's you and me. And let's duke it back out on, let's duke it out at the end. And we see that happen a lot in races where a couple riders will work together, and they're everybody's friends and everybody's like, yep, helping each other out, and then they're not, and then it's time, the gloves come off, and then it becomes down to just a knockout just fights here. We do have path of least resistance. We do have the underdog, and we do have weight lifted here. So we might be seeing some use of some power-ups coming up. We might see how they utilize that. I mean, I was trying to get to every power up here. Homer comes around the front, says, I'll take a pull man, which is very gentlemanly, like very good sportsmanship here, and trying to get these guys through lap 2. 7.4 kilometers to go here with Jeff and Homer on the front end here. Daniel and Kayla look like they're just 5 seconds apart in the back there. And Daniel right now is in 4th position here, and Daniel's got 99. So he would have to do some work on sudden lane change, I think, if he wanted to get himself on the podium. Not out of question, but he and Kayla might want to get organized and make sure right now the gap isn't that bad, 45 seconds. But once the first racers finish, you do want to get to the finish line within time, which looks like they're going to have no problem doing that. So Homer on the front, Jeff on his wheel there. Kayla's coming around here for her first lap here, coming into lap 2 here, side by side with our 2 lead riders here. Homer Thompson, Jeff Rooney. Homer in the blue, Team Cognition. Jeff Rooney there, Team Velocity. Now, the 2 of these riders have been racing together in CVRcade in the fall, in the summer. They know each other's abilities. They know each other's habits, and I would say they've become. We've all become very close knit community. We know the tendencies of our racers, of our fellow riders. We enjoy their company. And Jeff back on the front here, Homer taking the wheel here, looking a little bit stretched out here, but the two of them are still working pretty hard here. 177, 178 on the heart rate, 185 for Homer, and again, max is 200, so they're on, like that 179, 180. That's where it gets awfully uncomfortable. And they're keeping these heart rates that high for a long time. These races, although the races themselves are individually short, you add them all together, and these racers are at threshold for quite a long time. Such a great workout, such great training, such good competition. I just can't wait watching these racers ride and develop, and watching these tracks be raced in different ways over the course of the last couple months, 3 months has been amazing here. But Jeff and Homer side by side, Jeff getting a little bit of stretching there on the bike. Again, they are riding bikes. Their bikes are connected to trainers. The trainers are taking power from taking terrain cues from the game. They're feeling the steepness of the climb. They're feeling it in their pedals. They're feeling the resistance, and they are needing to respond to the road. They need to change the lanes in the road. The next race will have lots of obstacles. This one, corner position and drafting is important because of the wind. You can see the wind particles depending on how you have your game configured, whether you like to see them or not, or if you have it set to see them, they can feel the wind. You can see the wind moving through the trees. They're right now with their heart rates at 188. They're not really looking at the trees. They're just looking at the lines on the road and keeping those legs fired up and moving. 367 equalized watts there on Homer, still at threshold, 188. He's pinned. So he did say at the beginning he's just trying to get miles. He's probably going to stay with a bot patrol, but he's too much of a competitor. He just has way too much fun. He couldn't let Jeff get away. There's just a massive effort to actually close it down on Jeff, because it was 8-9 seconds up the way, and he never gave up. He strategically used his power-ups. He proved it can be done. You can chase down Jeff, who is fierce and strong, and was just riding off into the sunset. But tenacious Homer was not going to let him get away. And they're still working so hard here, side by side, these two riders here, Jeff of Velocity and Homer of Team Cognition here. And it'll be interesting to see how these teams shape out. We haven't had a lot of teamwork. This is our first race back from 2020, our first run up to CVRcade World Cup. We had $25,000 in total prizes in the last racing, the last series of the CVRcade World Cup, and it was insane. And we saw in the earlier Omniums too that people are bringing it. It's this thing that you just can't not bring it here. And this course, 4.4 kilometers to go. These guys are feeling the pain. But Jeff, all of this is going to matter, because this is going to matter because this is the type of training you need to do to actually win CVRcade World Cup races when the World Cup proper begins. You need to be able to sustain the power. You need to be able to push yourself beyond your limits. You need to be uncomfortable and be comfortable, because you're having so much fun and you're working hard, and you know that there are lots of prizes to be won. So 4 kilometers to go here on Rocky Mountain. Homer and Jeff side by side in the front. I alluded to it earlier, and Homer has been coming to our Rise and Rip class, and I will plug it away here, because on Mondays and Fridays we do a group ride, which is an onboarding ride where you can practice a little power up there from Jeff Jeff says, I'm going to use my weight lifted here. This is a little puncher on Rocky Mountain where it just comes from a flat and then the road just turns up. He moves to the inside lane here, shorter distance here. You can kind of get away with doing a little less, but Homer just drops the hammer, anticipating that power up, giving Jeff a little bit more of an advantage. But it looks like Homer responding and anticipating that he was not caught flat-footed. And back to, again, he's been practicing different techniques. He's a strong rider. With the rise and rip course classes that we do, I can't take all the credit for that. He's just very smart and talented. But we do practice different game playing dynamics. We'll feel it, and we practice doing different maneuvers, and we use the power ups, and we see what works, and we work together, and we learn from each other. So it's always so much fun to watch him race and watch him execute what he's doing. But Jeff says, "I'm back." That 1 second there, I don't know if he had a dropout. Jeff was hoping. He did have some technical problems in the last race, and maybe he had a little bit of experience of that at that time. It always happens when when you least expect it, but those are the breaks, the breaks of technology and wireless everything. But Jeff and Homer here, this is going to shape up to be a strong finish. These guys have been duking it out. They've had a share of working together. They've put the attacks on each other. They've tested each other's legs. In the end, it's going to be who wants it more, because even if Jeff finishes in front of Homer, Homer has more points. But again, it's just by like 5 points, so if Jeff finishes, he's going to be able to get a little bit more points. Kayla in third place here. Kayla will be able to, looks like her points will be about 6 or 8. Oh, they keep changing around a little bit here. Back behind. So she is still podium bound here in her second or third omnium of the day. I'm not sure if it's a second or third, Kayla. Don't answer. I think it's her second one. Okay. All right. I was thinking it was your third one because you're that much of a beast. She took second place on the podium in the earlier omnium, and she's poised to do third tonight. And she could actually move up on sudden lane change here. Jeff drops the power up, weight lifted power up. It does make you lighter for 5 or 10 seconds here. Just gives you a little bit of boost here, and using it on the descent, you benefit from the acceleration here. But Homer on his wheel again. Jeff up out of the saddle, trying to make it stick, trying to put the hurt down. 1.6 kilometers to go. It is going to be a race to the finish here, and it's going to be, does anyone have any power ups left? There is the power up there, the underdog power up there that does give you extra wattage for each person in front of you. He's not quite the underdog. The more people that are in front of you, the more power you get, is the way the underdog power up works. But when you've got 1.2 kilometers to go, you just unload the arsenal. A little bump here, and then that's the path of least resistance by Jeff. He uses it on the bump. He knows there's a straightaway, but Homer starts to sprint it out. 500 equalized watts. Jeff did answer there with 700 equalized watts. I saw that, the timing of it there. Jeff with the second path of least resistance, 450 equalized watts. Heart rate for Homer, 190, 182 for Jeff. And then Jeff does come around. That path of least resistance does expire before the corner, because we know there's a corner. They're side by side. Jeff and Homer, who's it going to be? Both of them are digging in. They both want it here. 0.7 kilometers to go. We're on one of the last bends. This is it, my friend. 387. Oh my gosh. And then Homer does have the weight lifted power up. Jeff is digging in, trying to hold that lead there just by a bike length in front of Homer. They have got 0.4 kilometers to go, and they started this attack earlier, back and forth with the power ups. Jeff steps in front of Homer here. Homer's going to have to come around the side. Says, I'll take the lead out, man. I know how that works. I will take the lead out. And what happened? Oh my gosh, how did that happen? Jeff just crashed. Did he change a lane on the corner? I'm not sure what happened there. Homer using his weight lifted, coming around the corner, and Jeff has a second unlucky break, a crash on the last lap at the finish there. That's got to sting a little bit. It was so close. It was back and forth. Homer takes the win on that one, and then Jeff will come around the line. So congratulations, Jeff. Massive effort Fabulous work there. Little bit of a bummer there on the. You can crash in the corners. I don't think you had a path of least resistance on, but Kayla here coming back up that last little bit of the bump here, and trying to get back to the finish line. Again, she's sitting in third place just because she wasn't at the pointy end. She's got enough points there where she still can upset the apple cart on sudden lanes change here. So Kayla coming around here. She's got Daniel a little bit up the road from her. So she does know that she needs to finish within a certain time. Right now, my timer is saying 3 minutes and 5 seconds to the next event here. So she does need to get to the finish line within time to get to the next event so she can take her points here. Daniel, a couple minutes up further from her. I can't tell how much time she has left here or how much road she has left here on the course, but I would guess it's about 1.6, maybe a little bit more than 2 kilometers to go when she's coming down the backside of that mountain. So she's got to get finished with that event. So right now, looking at the replay here with the finish was Jeff. It was this whole race was just Jeff and Homer. Jeff had got an early lead. Homer closed it down. They did trade some pulls. They did both spent a lot of time with their nose out in the wind, a lot of time. And then they just had an absolute slugfest at the finish. And I think Jeff there's what happened. Maybe he changed lanes into Homer there. Homer came around and it did look like he might have changed lanes inadvertently, maybe. I'm not sure there, but that's a bummer. But Homer does come across the line, uses his weight-lifted power up to finish off the play for the race to take the W. And take a few more points away from Jeff. So if that had finished the other way around, the point differential would have been a little shorter. So Homer, you grabbed some more points. Congratulations on that win. You never gave up. You remarkable, man.
Well, Jeff, it was luck. I was lucky. Jeff is a competitor, and there's no way in the world I'd beat him outside for certain. So that should be actually Jeff's win, I'm sure.
You are too, listen, everything you said about Jeff is true, but you are also right up there with him. You won, you earned that. You closed down an incredible gap. You should be certainly proud of that effort. Congratulations to you. Sudden lane change. You are in the top spot going into sudden lane change. What's your strategy here?
Just to stay up on step right. These courses I don't do well on at all. So I'm just hoping not to crash.
48 left, 44 right. That's all I'm saying. All right. You got this, man. All right. 52 seconds to go. Jeff, you had that unfortunate crash. Are you ready? You ready for sudden lane change?
I think so. Good play. Like, at the end of the day, Homer didn't give up. He was there the whole time, put the pressure on me. So, that's what got him the win. So that's why he came out on top. So it's good play.
Well, you are sitting pretty nice yourself there on the second step here, 21 points behind Homer. You can take this. You can take some points here in 15 seconds. Good luck to you. 2.5 times multiplier, 4 laps, 1 razor's edge, 1 corner caper in play. They will be out of the gate in 5 seconds. Jeff up out of the saddle, spinning it up, making sure that he has enough power on those pedals to get out in front here. Sometimes with these courses, we do see racers use the power up to try to make an early break, because it's much better to be at the front of the pack than to be in the chase mode when you can make more mistakes. So when you're in the front, you can put the pressure on. It does look like Homer has had an early crash. That can happen. Jeff out in front. Kayla 2-3 seconds behind here. This is one of Kayla has a lot of skills, but Kayla gets in the zone on these tempo courses where it's a rhythm course where you start to like get into the flow of it, and your brain And when everything is connecting and everything is firing in all cylinders, it is just it's actually like poetry. It's just very the cadence of it, and she's very good at it. When you have a crash, when you go down early, it's hard to maintain that. But Kayla is super focused. She looks, she always knows where she needs to be, what lane she needs to be. She's not caught off guard, and she's never really surprised by the course because she does her homework. But Jeff out in front by 6 seconds here. And this would be enough. If he does win this race, if he does maintain this position, he will take enough points, but depends on how many see. It looks like things are shaking around here. Would be enough? Might be, yeah. Well, it was just jumping around here on the leaderboard here. It looks like 3 points, 3.5 points here. So Kayla, Homer has to beat. No, Homer doesn't have to beat Kayla. This is where the maths in my Sudafed is they're gonna start doing math memes about me. I'll take the heat off of Jesper here. But Jeff out in front here, Kayla on his heels there by about 6 seconds or so. This is one of those races where the pylons, they don't have a lot of bots right now that are in their way, but Kayla drops her razor's edge on the straightaway here to try to make up some speed, carries it through the corner, slides out just ever so much. She just played that absolutely brilliantly. Then she uses her corner caper and goes around that bot. That was lucky. Sometimes these bots got through that one too. Sometimes the bots respawn. If the bots crash in front of you and they respawn at the same time there. So she did use her back-to-back power-ups to try to close that gap. Jeff uses his razor's edge up the way there, trying to maintain that lead, then his corner caper. So again, corner caper means you can't slide out through the corner. So even if you exceed the max speed, you will not slide out. So Jeff is trying to keep that gap on Kayla. He saw her use the 1-2 punch, did not want to let her close the gap. He's going to keep all the points he can. He's not going to let Kayla take him off that second step here. So that's what we're talking about here. Homer is still on top from the points perspective of the Omnium. He earned those points in the last couple races, but Jeff here at the front, 5 seconds, 1 kilometer to go, just a couple laps left here, out on sudden lane change here. And he's actually racing this just brilliantly, and so is Kayla. These two racers know how to race this class. They make this course look easy. They make the track look easy because they know when to change the lanes. You're coming around the corner and you're coming hot. You need to be able to change the lanes. You need to be in the lane you want to be in before you see the obstacle. If you're responding to the track, you're too late. You need to anticipate the track, and you need to anticipate the track every single time. Jeff up out of the saddle here. He's holding that lead, just a few seconds, 5 seconds in front of Kayla. But wait, Kayla goes down. So that does make Jeff be able to relax just a little bit. And that's the benefit of being out in front right there. That's exactly it. Jeff's in front. Kayla's trying to make up time, overcooks it, makes a mistake on the hunt there. But she had to risk it. As my friend Jesper says, you risk it for a biscuit. She was going to just go fast and take chances. And she did end up crashing. And that did set her back. And now she won't be able to close it. But so it will be Jeff that will take this race with 0.2 kilometers to go. Homer here back on board here. With Homer, he's just about 5 or 6 seconds back from Kayla. Probably not enough there to get to her with just 2.1 kilometer to go for Jeff. Jeff's going to come around that final bend and come across the finish line. Yes, congratulations, Team Velocity Rider right there. Nice, looking good in your kit there. And Kayla coming through the last few turns here, just a few seconds back from Jeff to take second place here on sudden lane change. The last couple obstacles here, Homer did come within 6 seconds of her, but it just wasn't enough. They just ran out of track here. Kayla does take that second position, keeps her in third place. She wasn't able to upset the apple cart, but she maintained her position. And here comes Homer across the line here, our Omnium Zone T winner. The man who just came out for some extra miles is the man who does it. We've got Jeff. Fierce competition tonight. Great racing, Zone T, in the run-up to CVRcade World Cup. So, Homer, Congratulations. How do you feel?
Well, I feel pretty worn out. I feel pretty worn out. You know, this is a great track, but I'm no good on these. I'm no good at all on these high school tracks, and I just 2 crashes on it. You can't come out ahead. So I've got to learn not to crash.
Well, you know what? You paid it up front, right? This is the thing. The Omnium has a little something for everyone. You earned those points up front with all of your skill and acumen, and hard work, and never saying die. Will you be racing on Thursday as well?
Oh, I certainly hope so. I
Wonderful.
I aspire to be a Quinton.
Yes, that's a good the number one. I love that aspiration. I think you are capable of it. Congratulations on this Omnium win. Well done, well fought out, very strategic use of the power-ups. How did you find that underdog power-up? I mean, you used it, you didn't have enough people in front of you, but did you feel it? I know it's different than great responsibility.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You feel. I mean, yeah. It helps. Like I said, I'm not sure how much it helped me because I was pretty well worn out anyway. But no, I could feel it.
Great. Well, congratulations, Homer, and we'll check in with Jeff next. Jeff, congratulations on your second place finish tonight. Well done. Feeling back into the rhythm, into the flow of CVRcade racing.
Yeah, that was some great racing. Amazing racing by Homer. He's a fierce competitor now. Started off, in the early days, he was just somebody that showed up and picked his races and did it, but now he's able to do it for a whole complete Omnium. That was great racing. He showed up on Saturday's race as well, and he was very strong then. So I had an idea he wouldn't be easy to beat, but I was just hoping the fact that he already had some work in his legs that I'd have it a bit easier. But like in theory, me being the freshest one here, I should have had it a lot easier than I did. But anyway.
Well, you crushed it as you always do. Congratulations on some great racing. You made everyone work. You set the pace. You were fast and furious. A couple unfortunate crashes, but those are the breaks. You still ended up with a second place. So congratulations. Will we see you on Thursday?
Absolutely. Got to get the swing of it before the money kicks in.
That's the spirit. We'll have a great night. Thank you. Or great. What time is it where you are right now? Have a great day. Dinner time.
Excellent.
Enjoy your day. You earned it. And Kayla, we'll check back in with you, Kayla. Congratulations. Well fought in your second Omnium. Multiple Omniums in a day. Like, you're just right back on it. You and Homer, you're like, going to do it. It's fine.
Oh yeah. I missed CVRcade over. It was nice to have the holiday break and everything, but missed being on the bike and just missed being a part of the community and everything. So it just feels good to be racing with everyone again. But yeah, the legs are feeling it after 2 Omniums. I'm gonna have to get this endurance back up. I could feel it on that Rocky Mountain course today.
Well, Epsom salt bath. Well, thank you so much for joining us in the broadcast. Congratulations. Fierce, strong as always. If we do have the highlights, we can roll those highlights here. But this was our night of Zone T racing. It started out on Aquavello. 2 laps are no skill event with all of the abilities on, so that the racers had to be strategic. They had to be mindful. They had to use their timing, and it was between Jeff and Kayla. They were neck and neck. It was a close finish. Jeff did end up stepping out of the draft. He said that might have been the reason why he just missed. You could see Kayla there like, is it me? And yes, when she realizes that the call is her, back on mountain bike course by Jesper for the second race in the Omnium here. Little bit of fun play. Inadvertent, we had a dropout by Jeff, and he didn't mean to do a brake check, but it did slow it did slow Frank down, and then what ended up happening was later on in the race he did have an unfortunate crash, But the winner here on Mountain Bike Course by Jesper was Homer, who was able to take the win, strategically use those power-ups at the end, didn't, just to guarantee the gap here. Well done on Mountain Bike Course by Jesper by Homer. And that sort of set the tone for Homer going forward, because that put him in front going into Rocky Mountain. And he kind of said, well, I'm just going to, maybe just get some miles in. But he saw Jeff set the pace there. He gave me the thumbs up when we were talking about Rise and Rip, because he just became tenacious and he never let Jeff out of his sight. He ended up closing that gap down, and it was a 2-person slugfest. These guys went back and forth, back and forth. They traded some pulls. They made some attacks. And then at the end there, we did have a crash. I think we had an overlapping wheel here. And in the end, it was Homer, whose never say die, never give up spirit, gave him the win. And Jeff's hard-fought fight did give him that second place, but he earned every inch of that second place. And then going to Sudden Lane Change, the fourth and final race of the Omnium here. Sudden Lane Change, the high skill event, the 2.5 multiplier, an early crash by Homer Thompson did set him back. And then it became a chase between Jeff, who was laying down the brisk pace at the front, and then Kayla, who tried to rally back using a back-to-back Razor's Edge and corner caper. But Jeff did see through his rearview mirror that Kayla was closing in, and he was able to counter and not let her come around. And of course, Homer there, finishing strong at the end. He had put enough points on the board in the earlier races that his finishing position, he could still finish third in this race and take the overall Omnium. And Jeff tried to take as many points away from Kayla so he could maintain his position in second. So for the night, that's what we had. We had Homer, Jeff, Kayla. We had Daniel racing. He came in, and we had Frank, and we had Aaron racing. We had a number of racers in tonight, but this is the run up to CVRcade World Cup. So if you like what you're seeing, hit the like and follow button. Make sure that you join us every Tuesday and Thursday. We join the CVRcade Riders group. Watch CVRcade on Facebook. We have all of the announcements for all of the races that are coming up. If you want to learn and play the game, CVRcade.com. Even if you don't have a bike, you can download the game. You can play on your keyboard and learn how and learn how the game works. And then we can also set you up with some equipment bundles at CVRcade.com. So from all of us at CVRcade, we will see you on Thursday. Thanks for joining.
But no, Beth, your goes crashing down. Determination, the suffering, the ability to... And she's unleashed everything in this attack. See just how much that win means to him. All the marvels. Kayla versus Allison, and to the line. Kayla Laguna takes the victory.